What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely incredible day. I know I am. If you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, your mom will make you eat dog food for a week. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I talked to your mom. Me and her are super close. We made out on a plane one time, and she said that she's gonna make you eat dog food unless you press the like button, and you don't want to take any chances. As you guys can tell from the title of today's video, today I'm gonna be telling you guys the story about a kid I went to school with who ate dog food for a week. Yeah, I'm not really sure what he was going down with, but regardless, he ended up munching on dog food like it was Skittles or something, and he was a weird kid. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So I took a bunch of science classes in high school. I thought that I really loved science and it was something I wanted to do with the rest of my life, and the truth of the matter is, I was not made for science, okay? I don't know if it was the work ethic or the fact that I just don't like school, but me and science didn't get along after, you know, my sophomore year. But at that point in my school, we picked, like, these educational paths, so there was really nothing I could do. I was stuck taking science classes till the end of time, aka until I graduated, just because that's what I signed up for when I was a freshman, which is a really stupid way to run a school. But regardless, I had all these science classes, and for the most part, I had the same group of kids throughout all of these science classes. We didn't really change much, and there was this one weird kid who I'm gonna name Jonathan. And Jonathan, you know, was a bit of a weird kid. He was the type of kid that nobody really wanted to eat lunch with or hang out with, mainly because he smelt really bad and was a brony. You know, those were the two things that he did that most people just didn't really mess with. And regardless, I had all these science classes with him, and I'm not gonna lie, he was a pretty weird kid, but I never had any real beef with him, you know? So whatever, in our junior year of high school, which is when you're like 16, 17 years old enough to have common sense, our science teacher assigned a project that we needed to do a science project about dieting on the human body, you know? And there was definitely no implication that we had to experiment on ourselves. There was no implication that, you know, we had to eat anything disgusting or do anything stupid. But for some reason, Jonathan, in his head, was like, I must do the most disgusting thing known to man. And what ended up happening is our teacher made a joke of like, oh, you can eat dog food for a week, ha 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 ha. But, you know, was very clearly kidding, and everyone knew he was kidding except for Jonathan. I don't know why in Jonathan's head he went, what would happen if the human body digested dog food for a week? But that's exactly what he did. So, whatever. Everybody goes and does their science project, and we have about 2 weeks to complete it. So the 2 weeks go by. Everybody's science projects are pretty, like, standard, you know, what happens, how do calories work on the human body? Can you actually make a viable meal out of mince? Is gum good for caloric intake? Like, pretty boring run-of-the-mill stuff that you would expect from high school, you know? And the first day of presentations, everyone's falling asleep, everybody's bored, and our teacher announces that Jonathan is going to have the first presentation tomorrow, right? So everybody's like, oh, okay. Jonathan, as weird as he was and as bad as he smelt, was a pretty smart kid, so everybody expected this kid to really throw down with the craziest experiment of all time, you know? So the next day rolls around, and Jonathan gets up with the confidence that can only be explained as a horse that just won the race, all right? Like, he gets up, he's walking in front of the classroom, he plays a pump-up song, it's Macklemore. He's like, yo, what up? I got a big papa, and, you know, slams his project on the table. So he opens his PowerPoint, and the opening slide is, can a human survive on dog food? And all of us are laughing because we think he's joking, you know, like, haha, you know, oh, Jonathan, you little prankster, you know, we know you're a nerd, but no nerd would willingly eat dog food for a week, right? Because what type of crazy person would willingly ingest dog food for a week at a time? And then the next slide is the layout of the experiment, right? I forgot the word. Okay, it's been a long time. How the experiment is going to work. And basically, Jonathan's experiment went as follows. I will eat nothing but Iams green dog food for a week in order to test if its caloric intake works on humans. And all of us are kind of like, this is a weird science experiment, okay? Like, don't get me wrong, we expected to see some weird stuff, maybe something about Rice Krispie treats, maybe something about bottle rockets. Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected this kid to really come out the cut and be like, I ate nothing but dog food for a week. But that's exactly what Jonathan did. So as the slides keep progressing, it gets increasingly and increasingly weird. Basically, he talks about how he would dip his dog food in water to make it softer and more digestible because it's really hard to chew at first. It's like a tough cracker. Then all of us are like, oh my god, he actually ate dog food for a week. I know what you're thinking. Scrubby, how is there more left to this story, you know, like the weird kid ate dog food? But trust me, it somehow gets weirder. So obviously, our teacher and everybody is concerned at the fact that this kid just ate dog food for a week. Like, at no point your parents went, hey honey, what do you want for dinner? And were shocked when you said Iams dog food. Like, I'm sorry. If my kid ever came home and said, Dad, I'm sorry, I can't eat this week, gotta eat dog food for a science project, I'd be like, hey kid, that's not science, please knock it off. So whatever, he's telling us how he likes his dog food and how it tasted and what it was like to try to eat it, and all of us are like, oh, okay, this is bizarre. Even our teachers is like, well, I mean, it's the weirdest science project I've ever seen, but at least your information is correct. And then it takes a turn for the weirdest science project presentation I've ever seen personally, okay? And I've seen quite a few. So the next slide pops up, and it's a blurry photo because Jonathan had an Android, you know, he was that type of kid. So the photo quality isn't impressive, but we begin to make out after a little bit of effort that this is a toilet bowl. And sitting there in the toilet bowl is nothing other than Jonathan's crap. You see, it wasn't enough to just tell us how it tasted. No. We were studying the caloric impact of dog food on the body. And of course, how it produces waste was so important to Jonathan that he felt the need to take a picture with his crappy quality Android phone and show the entire class every bowel movement he had for a week. That's right. And I don't know how Jonathan was so regular on dog food, but the man was pooping twice a day because there were 14 pictures of this kid's crap filled with dog food and whatever else he had eaten on the screen. And he broke down and pointed at a laser pointer with each individual thing that changed with each poop and just spent way too much time explaining to me about bowel movements. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever had to look at a weird kid's poop, it's not the most fun thing in the world, okay? So the entire class at this point is shocked, and even the teacher is shocked. But we're so in shock that nobody stops the kid, you know? Like, you know when something's such a bad train wreck that none of you are stopping it? That's basically what happens when the weird kid starts breaking down his weekly poop schedule for everybody. But it gets weirder. He also tracked the time and was calculating that it was about 14 hours between each meal where he would poop out last meal. And he, like, charted it, made a bar graph. There was a pie chart at one point. This man put in so much effort to track his poop while he was eating dog food. It was ridiculous. And like I said, the entire class is flabbergasted because what do you do? How are you supposed to react to this? You're telling me that in a classroom, you're going to be like, this is quite the interesting science experiment. No, all of us are shocked, disgusted. I never wanted to know this kid that well, okay? You don't really know someone until you've had to look them in the eyes after you've seen their poop. It's not a good experience. None of us were really like besties with this kid in the first place, but now I know him way better than I've ever wanted to know him ever, okay? Like, never in my life was I sitting there going, I wonder what Jonathan's poop looks like, and especially after he's eating dog food. Like, that was never something I wanted to see. But I saw it, you know, I did. It was very unpleasant. I can promise you all that. You guys would not want to see it. If I had pictures, I wouldn't put them on screen because I don't want my subscribers to suffer. So finally, after an agonizing 15 minutes of this kid explaining his experience eating dog food and breaking down in detail every single bowel movement he had while on his experiment, he comes to the conclusion that humans can in fact survive on dog food, even though it's not the best nutrition possible and your poop will be slightly inconsistent and a little bit wet. You could do it. In theory, if you were stuck on a deserted island and you had to eat dog food to survive, it was possible. And the class does the most awkward, quiet applause of all time. Like, the most awkward applause. It starts with, like, one person going like, oh, wow. That was something. And everybody's kind of flabbergasted, and the teacher's like, well, thank you, Jonathan. That was one of the most in-depth science reports I've ever seen, which, I mean, is technically telling the truth. Like, you know when somebody's not lying, but they're also not telling the truth? That's basically what it was. Because, I mean, it was super in-depth. You know, good for Jonathan for doing such great work, but it was work that nobody ever wanted to see from Jonathan. So, obviously, from that point, it was a little bit awkward. He had the nickname of the dog food kid for the rest of the year, and before anyone's like, oh, that's so mean. What else are you supposed to call the kid that showed you his poop and ate dog food for a week, all right? Like, what a weird science project. And ever since, our science teacher, whenever we had to do a project, would make it very clear that when he said something about eating dog food or whatever, he was kidding, because come to find out, Jonathan thought that was a real suggestion. Like, at the start of the project, when our teacher said, hey, you should eat dog food, Jonathan went, I should eat dog food. So, ever since, the teacher has made it very clear that you shouldn't ingest things that aren't made for human consumption for a week, no matter how flattering you think the science project's gonna be. It's just not good for your health. And, honestly, I really wonder what Jonathan's parents thought. Like, no offense, you're a pretty bad parent if you let your kid eat dog food for a week and don't think anything of it. Like, at no point during the week at all were his parents wondering, he hasn't eaten dinner at all with us. I wonder what he's eating. Like, they were like, meh, typical science project kid, you know, eating dog food. Call it a Tuesday. Typical Jonathan, you know? Typical good old Johnny just eating some dog food. And for those of you guys who are wondering what he got, he ended up getting an A because, to be honest, it was a really good PowerPoint and the science was pretty sound, you know? We just didn't want to see his poop. So, like, he deserved the A, I'm not gonna lie. Everybody's like, ew, that's gross. Yeah, it was gross, but hey, you know, our teacher was the one who made the joke about it, so I guess you deserved his A. And honestly, if you eat dog food for a week, you better get an A. Like, could you imagine getting a C? You're telling me I ate dog food for an entire week for no reason? So, Jonathan, you earned your A, buddy. I hope you're doing good. He actually got into a crazy good college. Like I said, he was a really smart kid, just a little weird, you know? I actually have a couple more stories about Jonathan through my science classes through the years. He was a brony who just was always a weird kid. But yeah, if you guys want to see more of those, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Comment like Jonathan, and I'll do more stories about him if you guys like him. But on that note, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button, comment down below, and turn on post notifications if you're here, or if you're new. Today's notification shout out goes to the one, the only Scrubby fan on Instagram. Big shout out to you for having notifications on. If you want a shout out, all you got to do is send me a screenshot of notifications being on my Instagram at Scrubby, and I shout somebody out every day. But yeah, on that note, guys, I'm going to go eat dog food for a week. If anybody needs me, that's where I'll be. Hope you guys have an absolutely incredible day. And remember, don't get anyone pregnant. And if you do, make sure they're hot and don't eat dog food. Stay hydrated and have yourselves a good one. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. I am out in 3, 2, 1. I forgot what I'm supposed to do. Oh, yeah. Bye.